Hello, my name is John. If you've been following for a while now, then you know that we moved into this shop almost 5 years ago. Prior to that, I was in an 80 square foot shed in my backyard. So, times have changed. But if you are new, now you know. 80 square feet to this being about 320 square feet with about a 20-foot run this way, about 16 feet wide, with a cutout for a stairwell and a closet back over there. But even since we've moved into this shop, a lot has changed. In fact, it has been evolving rapidly since we first moved the first tool in here. One of the things that changed a lot was this workspace over here, where the miter saw is first coming in with a Metabo 12-inch compound miter saw. Then changing to this is a Makita 10-inch sliding compound miter saw. And also have it plumbed in with its own dust collector, which is down under the workbench. And I also took the time to recess it below the surface so that the saw's cutting surface was level with the workbench. One of the biggest upgrades in my woodworking journey has been in the table saw department. My first table saw was a Ryobi job site saw, which was a terrifying piece of electrical equipment. I can't believe I ever turned that thing on and used it because it was horrifying. Anyway, I ended up giving that to a guy in a trade deal for a Craftsman contractor saw. And I had that for a while. I upgraded the fence system. It was really nice for a bit, but I wanted something different, so I ended up selling that and buying a Delta contractor saw, which is a step above what I had. Had that for about a year. I ended up selling the Delta table saw and buying a rigid contractor saw. Worked really great for a while before I started to have a lot of mechanical issues. Unfortunately, those mechanical issues came outside the warranty window, which was not shocking. So I ended up selling that basically for parts. Unfortunately, the guy that bought it from me was able to actually fix it and make it a usable table saw again. However, I traded up as big as I could possibly go, and that's when I got this Grizzly 5 horsepower cabinet saw. This thing's a beast. I have no reason to consider buying a new table saw at this point. I can make this thing last forever. And as far as dust collection goes, we have its own standalone dust collector here, plumbed through a jet cyclone separator. Now over in this corner here are two of the machines that I've had probably the longest. This jet 6-inch joiner I actually bought before I ever had a table saw. So I've had this for, I don't know, maybe 8 years at this point. It is of course 6 inches and therefore a little small, and every woodworker says you'll never regret going with a wider one. I just haven't been able to pull the trigger on getting a new one. Eventually. Also, I am kind of attached to this. And if you watch my videos for a while, you'll know that I replaced the straight blade cutter head with the helical head cutter, and that's definitely made this thing useful in the long run. I also have this 14-inch jet bandsaw. They're the matching twins here, the old blue jet from pre-2000s. This thing's a beast. I run it with the max blade size in it, so it's got a 3/4 inch blade in here, and I use it for nothing but resawing whenever I do coaster blocks that need to be resawed. Yeah, it's a great thing. Needs to be tuned up every once in a while. Replace the blocks here, and she's good to go. Could I go with a bigger, better, badder bandsaw? Sure. But for what I need bandsaws for, perfectly fine. Now my dust collector, which is another one of those things that is probably gonna need to be updated at some point. This is a, what is this, 2 horsepower? No, this is a Shopbox 1.5 horsepower single stage dust collector. If I don't replace it, I will at least do the transition over to the canister style filter on top, because the filter bag is garbage. So it's attached and plumbed through this homemade rig right here. This is a 55-gallon drum that was full of Mountain Dew at one point. This is a like a little cyclone separator mounted on top, and it's actually sitting on a shelf bolted to the wall, so it's not directly attached to this other than through this this 6-inch hose here. So whenever I need to replace or to clean out the bin, I just lift this off, and that needs some maintenance apparently. But this is, generally speaking, way underpowered for what I need. So at some point, I need to upgrade that. Please, Grizzly, send me a brand new, super powered dust collector. I would love you forever. If you can't tell, I already do. All right, let's talk about planers. So November 26, 2018, I bought the classic DeWalt DW735. The lunchbox style planer. 3-blade, 2-speed, classic, unbeatable for small shops. And I ran that for years, came to this shop, ran it for a few more years, and then I kind of played around with the idea of helical, and then the price of the helical plus the amount of time it would take to do the swap over. I'd done a lot of considerations. I decided, you know what? Let's just get another planer. So I went and bought Grizzly's lunchbox style planer with the helical head installed. And I ran that for several years with, let's just say, mixed results. There were a lot of issues with the in-feed and out-feed table that I could just never quite get worked out to my satisfaction. So if you've watched recently in the last couple months, then you'll know that I have upgraded to this. This, of course, is Grizzly's 15-inch, 3 horsepower model. It's a cabinet style, so the motor is mounted down in the bottom and has this huge on-off switch right here. It has the rollers on top, and of course, a big cast iron, chunky turn handle on the side. I am more than thrilled with this. In fact, once I got the in-feed and out-feed tables aligned, which is way easier than the lunchbox style, I've had no issue with snipe. Can't be more happy with this. Except for the fact that it requires a ton of suction, which goes back to the dust collection. Please, Grizzly, hook me up with a really awesome dust collector. I love you so much. So obviously, I spend quite a bit of time in here. I like to bring the comforts of home into the shop. We got a TV, we got a computer. Granted, the computer is for something, technically something else. But we've got a kitchenette. And this is all pretty recent. I guess this is all in the last 12 months that I've added this. So this is, of course, my counter space, made up out of a previous workbench that used to be butted up to the rigid table saw. So we've got, you know, cutting board, we got knives, cast iron skillet, we've got a gas stove here, also have a induction cooktop as well, and an air fryer, because why not? As well as a full-size fridge and a microwave. The sink is out of order right now. So that's kind of a quick rundown of the shop, in case you just needed a refresher. With that being said, let's get back into some of the classic John's Tiny Woodshop business. Coasters. Your eyes do not deceive you. I am, in fact, wearing different clothes. And yes, it's the next day. And yes, the next shot will probably be tomorrow. The mission is to take care of this back here. You can't see it? These right here are all coasters that I need to sand and put finish on and bundle them and try to sell them. Okay, look, it's been probably a week since I was last working on this. But hey, let's get into it. Let's start the finishing process. I probably didn't need that many. Okay. Well, that's coat number 1 of how many class? That's right, 5. Well, anyway, I think that's where we're going to end this video. I will catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.